Yo, what is up? You got DriveWire, you got Carter, you got Crawford, you got
What up?
very special guest. We got Ramona Singh in the house.
DriveWire CFRE. Almost like you get that in.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Thank you for being here today.
Welcome. She's nervous. She won't be nervous in a little bit. Don't worry. We're not here to attack you. Listen, Ramona's cool.
So we're not gonna attack.
If you're like heavy into the artist sector, which is predominantly our listeners, Ramona's name might not come on your radar as it didn't online, to be honest with you. Ramona's a politician. It's not a bad thing. She's in the Conservative Party, but not the PC people from Doug Ford, who we previously decided wasn't cool. It's actually a federal party, which I didn't know was different until before this. So thank you for teaching me that, of all things. I like that.
I feel like this is something maybe we should jump into really quickly because even as me, the beloved co-host that knows everything, apparently, you do not know this. And that was good. As I said to you earlier, I was confused by this because last week a couple weeks ago, somebody tried to tell me that PC was the same as a conservative. I'm like, I just don't understand. What's that? Why is it PC rather than just C? You know, because it's conservative, but progressive conservative. But what I mean, I don't know why that is a difference.
That's a very good first question.
If you could quickly explain it, I think it would help me infinitely.
Absolutely, I'm so glad it's come up because as I'm at the doors, as I knock on doors, we have 70-odd days until the federal election, which is on October 21st.
October 21st.
Yes, and you get to decide if you want Justin Trudeau back in office or you want another leader such as Andrew Scheer. And of course there is the NDP party, Jagmeet Singh as well, the Green Party. It's a democracy, right?
We're all laughing at all the candidates, and that doesn't say you're not laughing.
I wasn't laughing at a particular candidate. It was just the way you brought it up. It was good.
We gotta let people know what's on the ballot.
We're the choices, absolutely.
So why are they not the same party? Like, maybe I'm letting my ignorance be known here and asking you a ridiculous question, but are these not the same? They're both conservative. Are they?
So we don't have the Ontario PC party. It stands for Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario.
Yes.
That exists in provinces. Federally, we're called the Conservative Party of Canada. There was a federal PC party way in the past, but a merger happened, and then it was under Stephen Harper. It was formed as the Conservative Party of Canada. So two separate parties. One is federal, one is provincial. As we have different PC parties in different provinces. Right. Doesn't have the same leader. So our leader is Andrew Scheer, who's running to be Prime Minister. He is the official opposition leader currently. And so I'm glad it came up because a lot of people don't know the difference. And as I'm knocking on doors, they're asking me about Doug Ford, and he's not.
He's not your.
Are you aligned philosophically? So presumably, like here's an issue for me as an outsider. Is like they're both called conservative. So if the name is the same, like, am I not supposed to presume that you guys have some sort of similar beliefs, and therefore I should expect similar actions from your kind of government?
Yeah, what does progressive really change about the conservative?
Right, great question. So essentially, there's the ideology of conservatism. So I'm a fiscal conservative. What does that mean? It means free and fair open market, where it's supply and demand. This is what I believe,
right?
This
is your personal
we
beliefs.
believe in smaller government, and that happens through lower tax dollars, right? So if we charge you less taxes, because we believe that you know best what to do with your money. And for that reason, because government money is only through taxes. And government's responsibility is to create the environment, the basic necessities such as infrastructure, hospitals, the basic necessities that you need. And then, of course, the environment for people to be able to open a business, to prosper in business, to grow it, employ others, and earn a decent living, and be part of the Canadian dream and be middle class and do what they need to do with their money. That is conservative philosophy. It is under the direction of each leader for the party and how that goes. So with the province of Ontario, they inherited a big mess, $350 billion of just deficit.
And that was through the provincial government.
Yeah,
that's where we inherited it from
the previous provincial government,
which was
the Liberals for 15 years. So what that means is interest payments are $1 million every hour.
Oh wow!
That the province has to pay. So they're not actually paying down. Yeah, so they're not actually paying down the debt that the previous government has accumulated. Yeah. And at the same time, so what happens when you need to pay down debt? you either cut services or you increase taxes.
Or both.
Or both, which would be the worst case scenario.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
it is, and here's the thing, I think as I knock on doors and I talk to people, they all understand that Ontario's in a really bad financial situation.
Yeah.
I think the difference is the priorities of where
Like what we need to fix first.
what we need to
essentially.
fix first and what needs to, where they're gonna be better with how they spend. And yeah, a lot of people are like, you know what, it shouldn't
So-
affect education and healthcare because that's what makes us a first world nation.
Yeah,
versus-
absolutely.
So yeah, and I understand that.
The free healthcare is honestly what is keeping me alive here today. If it wasn't for free healthcare, I guarantee you my family would be tens of millions of dollars, if not maybe just singular 10, and they would have given up on me because they can't pay that bill off ever. You know what I mean? And that's
I'm glad you're not dead.
to try and privatize that. I mean, thank you. But to try and privatize that it's like the worst. It's like you're trying to hit on a 21 and jet blackjack. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, flip side to that, I know a girl who actually was kept alive by the privatized healthcare in
like,
the state. So,
America,
so
yeah.
just like counter story, and this is real. She was hit by a boat, and because privatized, so if you own a hospital, I own a hospital. Essentially, it becomes a race to the victim, right?
Who can get there first?
Because
like,
because if I can take her or him back to my hospital, then I would get the dollars, presumably by doing the best best medical practices, and now you're in my home, and maybe that's millions of dollars because you came here, and it was, in her case, it was for her own. Thankfully, she had insurance, which I believe you should have.
Everyone should have health insurance.
But her life would not have been saved in Canada because we were out in the boonies in some lake.
There was nobody to take
They would have gotten there in 45 minutes. It would have been a corpse.
No, and that is true. That is the one thing.
Someone was already patrolling the lake, so you know what I mean. Like, I'm not necessarily super against it because I've seen someone be actually saved from the opposite.
And living so close to
eye-opening.
London, I really think did benefit me a lot. Having London and Hamilton General Hospital so close, huge.
So
Absolutely. So I do want to say
Yeah,
one thing
hit me.
for our listeners and everybody is that, so the federal government does transfer payments to the provinces and territories for healthcare and education. So it doesn't fall under federal jurisdiction, but as your candidate, and hopefully in 70-odd days is the elected member of parliament for Brampton
what up? Let's
East,
go.
I will stand up for you. I will speak on your behalf on a provincial level, on a municipal level. I mean, that's what we're here for, right?
what
To be
you're
able
here for,
to listen and.
Why do you not to cut you off?
Sure.
Why are you in politics in the first place? Like, what gives? Why do you care? You're a business owner.
I want to jump in because in the conversation, I know this was off air, but in the conversation that we had, you've been interested in politics since you were 6 years old.
Yeah, well, since I was really young, and my first election was in grade 6 for class president.
Were you class president? Did you win?
No, I didn't. I did
damn.
win. But in grade 8, I ran for school president and I won.
Okay,
And then
so-
grade 9,
Yeah.
I ran for class president, and then grade 12 for VP.
Right on.
So yeah, so I've been doing that for quite some time. But I'll tell you actually
Yeah.
why. So
What's the cause?
I'm an immigrant. I'm half Iranian, half Indian, and my family migrated like during the Gulf War. So the Gulf War, we're talking about the early 90s.
It was in the 90s.
My bad.
Yes,
Late 80s?
yes.
I'd say that was
Late 80s,
Gulf
early
Wars in the
90s.
90s.
Yeah.
And having seen a bomb shelter, going through a mass evacuation of a city,
Oh, wow,
you
yeah.
realize very quickly that your freedom in life, your ability to do literally anything, whether it's to open a business, whether it's to be an artist, whether it's to go to
Whether it's to
school,
go outside.
your self-expression,
Right.
go
Yeah.
outside and feel safe
And safety,
to do that,
Yeah.
right? And that all comes from the law of the land you live in. So
Which
you
I
live,
think as Canadians, we don't really totally understand because we are a first world country where we're just given rights of everything. Where,
Right,
like, we don't
you're-
have to
the
fear any of those things.
constitutional right, your
Yeah.
your fundamental freedoms, yes, the Canadian Charter of Rights.
So
And
you're
as a
saying,
child, you saw.
to sum it up, am I wrong in saying that you want to make sure that the laws fit a safe land as closely as they possibly can?
Yes, you want to make sure Canada stays a free country, a prosperous country for
Sweet.
everybody who comes here.
Accepting, I say willing to accept individuals that are looking to get that fresh start and
Absolutely, right? And this is really important to make sure that this is the country that people have migrated to, and our forefathers, through the development of the Constitution
Yeah.
and what this country stands for, and so that I learned that really early on, and I wanted to be actually a police officer as well. Went to college, Police Foundation at Seneca College, realized love law, don't want to enforce it. Went to university, Carleton University, studied criminology and criminal justice, and ended up working for
Ah.
Correctional Service of Canada Canada as a federal government employee, and so I'm still,
you're helping the law, but not in the sense where I'm gonna go kick in the drug dealer's doors and enforce it in a sense. You're helping create the laws and.
Exactly. So police officers enforce the law, lawyers implement the law, and politicians create the law. So I know we're on a show for artists, and that's pretty much what we're, being a candidate, I can go into really what it's like to, not really have a public profile and just be an ordinary person doing, having your private life, and then all of a sudden pushing yourself onto social media and into the public, arena and publicize everything and put, your views out there and your party's views out there and the sort of criticism that may come back, and how do you kind of maintain all that. So I'd be happy, I can talk about that and hopefully, give some feedback. Or
that is one hell of a segue for where this show is going to be headed right after the break that's coming up. So I gotta give a shout out. We're gonna be doing a giveaway. We have 4 tickets. They're gonna go to 2 separate winners. 4 tickets to 2 winners. Easy math. 2 tickets each. So it's for the Digital Arts Meta Music and Media. It's a live concert digital art exhibit. I'm talking to you, Doug Crawford. Let's go. Here we go. Doug Crawford. Crawford's that. Here we go. It's August 17th, 2019 at Studio 2 in the Rose Theater in Brampton. Thank you very much for these tickets. It's going to be featuring Maylee Todd, Noise, Dusty Loops, and more. It's going to be super sick. In order to win, we're going to do a follow and a share of the DriveWire logo on Instagram. You hit up DriveWire Radio on Instagram. You're going to see there's the first picture there. It says concert winner, yada yada. Share that bad boy. Give us a follow, and you will automatically be entered to win these 2 tickets. It's going to be sweet. The digital art exhibit, I'm really excited to see what's going on there. Anyways, we're coming up to our 2 songs. As always, we got Buffalo Soldier by Bob Marley and Kawasaki by Rashane TSP.
See you.
Oh yeah, that's good. It's always good. It's always good in the DriveWire house.
Welcome back. See you, buddy. DriveWire.
We got Ramona Singh in town. She's from the Conservative Party of Canada. She's running for Brampton East in the federal election.
We almost got it wrong.
Guys, it's on October 21st. Vote for who you need to vote for, but I'm starting to believe that Ramona Singh's a good idea. Just saying. Listen, I know that you had a lot of courage to come here because artists haven't really been smiled on from the Conservative Party lately, but still you're here in the House representing, and I have a lot of respect for that, so thank you. It shows like serious character to come into the Lions Den proverbially and crush it. So
should we say maybe PC? They haven't been looked at in the PC party? Because we did discuss it in the last bit. The Conservative versus PC are totally different.
Totally different parties.
So the PC hasn't been
clear that up. Even though it was probably pretty evident that we were a little bit wrong, leaning in the other direction, you still came in and cleared it up, and you didn't hold anything against us. So thank you.
No, thanks for having me. It's been awesome to be here, and any way I can contribute to the listeners who are artists.
So let's get into that.
Started.
Let's get into that. So, how do you see in my opinion, being a musician is just like being an entrepreneur. Like we kind of covered that a bit before. How do you see the overlap between what a musician is doing to grow themselves and what you're doing to grow yourself, and obviously quite successfully to be in this running?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go, as I said, you go from being a private person, living your private life, then having to kind of put yourself out there, your thoughts, your art, whatever it is that you've created. And when it comes to business, for example, it's a conception of an idea that you find a gap in the market that you want to, solve a problem and
People
implement.
want this, I want to help.
You want to be able to put it out there and have customers and do really well and get paid for what you do. So an artist, same thing, has a certain level of talent, a passion, wants to create something, put it out into the world, and have fans to be able to appreciate it and help them maybe reflect on it or grow in some way, and also make a decent living out of it so they can continue doing what they want to do and not to do it as a side project, like a passion project.
No, but the main focus, and they want to make it a priority, and they want to help and.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the same thing goes for being a candidate. You go from being a private person to wanting to put yourself out there to do something better for your community, listen to them, come up with ideas to solve the problems. And the way I would correlate the two would be candidates need to get elected. They need to raise money. They need to be able to pull out people to events. They need to make sure that people would want to pay them to towards their campaign so they can run.
Yeah.
And so that's, you feel pretty insecure doing all that because the question crossed your mind, well, why would people want to talk to me, or why would people want to listen to me, or why would they want to come to my event? And you just have to put yourself out there. So as a politician, a candidate would have to go knock on doors. And there's 28,000 homes in my riding, so that's a lot of doors
A
you
lot
have
of
to knock
doors to
on.
knock on, right? That's not gonna take you a couple days.
Exactly, and as you knock on a door, you remind yourself you're disturbing somebody in their home environment that is busy doing something else. So you're doing your elevator pitch.
Yeah.
You're on borrowed time, and you don't want to piss them off. And if they close the door on your face, it's not personal. You just keep going at it again. So the whole thing is don't give up. Because you may get rejection. Some people may open the door and say, hey, I don't like your party, and close the door, or blame you for something that you didn't do, or maybe they're in a bad, but most people are generally nice and they'll hear you out. You want to be able to be mindful of your audience. So same thing as an artist, if there's the genre of the music that they have, or whatever it is that they're creating, then there's the know your audience, right? Because it's your audience, because you are going to tap into an existing audience. That's something you want to be aware of, right? You're not creating something completely new that there is no audience for,
All
right?
audience pools exist. It's about finding one that is pertaining to you and that is willing to accept you in there and work together.
Exactly. So it's about giving them a little bit of the same, but something new, so they kind of tune into you. And same thing happens for putting out your ideas.
How do you get across what you believe in? So I know that oftentimes people will buy a product or support a party or even listen to a band that they feel there's a commonality of belief. And something that I've been trying to get across, although it's extremely hard to articulate, that's why I'm going to throw this one in your direction, is like, for you, look, I'm going to vote for you if I believe that you believe what I believe. Figure that one out, like inception of belief on the... But if I really think that Ramona believes what I'm in charge of, I'm going to just assume you're going to do what I would do because you believe what I would believe, and I'll throw the X on your name. How do you get that across when you're communicating? What's your method of... Aside from just saying these are the things that I
believe in, I will support these if you support these other things.
So that's a great question, and what I would have to say is, I don't say anything I don't believe. So it has to come from the heart, because if you're not saying something that you don't believe, it's just, you're not going to be authentic.
They're not genuine.
And people pick up on energy, people are smart, they read between the lines, and they either like you or they don't. The other thing is, as I said, for an artist, they're tapping into an existing base. There is a genre of music that they're putting out there that there are fans for, that there is a genre. Same thing goes with when it comes to being a candidate or whatever it is, whether it's a business or whether it's, being a candidate, which is really a marketplace of ideas. What people want is they want to know they've been heard. They want to know that they matter.
Like people are listening when I voice my complaints or problems or adjustments that I would love to see or something. Like,
right.
I'm not just speaking into a black hole and people are like, oh, I hear you, but nobody's actually listening.
Exactly. So somebody would vote for me if they believe I have heard their concern, I share their vision, and I will speak on their behalf. Same goes for an artist. When they write certain lyrics that the listener can relate to what they have written or what they're singing in terms of their own personal experience, and they're articulating in a better language of the feeling that the listener is feeling, that's when you find your fan base. So it's about an emotional connection that you develop. It's a bond. So as I knock on the door, in that few seconds, you're developing a bond with somebody.
Yeah.
Same thing happens between an artist and a fan. Because
within that first few seconds of hearing or listening or meeting or...
Yeah, as you listen to the lyrics, it will trigger emotional reaction of something that they have been so articulate to write in words that you've never been able to do, but you've felt.
You felt that
And
way.
Sometimes it gives you direction, it gives you hope, it gives you a sense that they understand you, and that's how you become a fan.
Whoa.
So you have to really
I
know
like
your audience, and you have to be able to listen to your audience, and you have to be able to speak on behalf of your audience.
Speak to them, and then also connecting with them.
And that you can
Through
apply
all
to
of them.
anything.
I
It's not
might,
just
I might add to that as well. Like, I agree with that 100%, and I would say, like, instead of necessarily knowing your audience, I would say, and this is perhaps one of the hardest things to do, is be willing to say the honest things about yourself that you don't know that the other person's feeling, and just trust that they do, because like other people are as complicated as you are. Like, so in a lot of times, you might not hear a politician talking about the struggle that they actually went through because they're trying to keep up this image But all of a sudden, if they did mention that struggle and it was genuine and real, again, it has to be authentic. But if it was, even though it might not be so quote unquote pretty to look at, it might be more relatable and someone might get something out of that. And trusting, like, okay, I can put this really innermost thought of myself on stage and with big lights on it and shining these literal spotlights on my insecurity, but someone might get something out of that, and there could be something there, which is really cool.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's that growing experience, being raw.
Yeah.
People will trust that instinct,
sure.
right? And
Yeah.
will know that it's something that they can relate to.
And if once you get the trust, everything.
I think you'll like this. This is not related to artistry at all, but I used to knock doors like for a living, so I
Awesome.
know what you're talking about. And like, whether you like it or not, people judge you based on looks. Like they do. There's nothing you can do or say to control it. It's just how the brain works. They see you and they're making presumptions about you. That's just life. It's just how it is. For you, I think you said Iranian and Indian, and you're running in a party that's not really known for that. So has your image affected it one way or the other? Have people been excited? Like, has it been a detriment? Has it been an asset? Like, where do you sit with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the first female candidate in all three parties in the riding of Ramtoni. So being
Sweet.
that, and so having, being an immigrant, being,
Cool.
ethnic minority, if you could say, it's kind of made people relate more to, the conservative ideologies, whether
Yeah.
they're fiscal conservative, social conservative, or whatever, they're libertarian, or
but they're not excluding the idea anymore because of how how pinpointed the Conservative Party has been in the past.
Right.
When we look at it, it's been predominantly older white males that have been the Conservative Party. And when we can change things, it's exciting, it's fresh, it's new.
Yeah, the best way I can describe a party is a political party is like a religion, right? What the similarities between a religion and a political party is that it's got its followers. So as worshippers of a religion are the same thing as people who hold membership of a party.
Yeah.
It's the only two institutions where people dedicate their time for free and
Mhm.
donate their money
their
because
money.
they believe in a cause. They believe in an ideology of how to better live in society and how society would function best. And so there's a lot of similarities between the two, and as religious institutions as well as parties, no one person, like a political party, will overcome any one person or any.
True.
It can't be defeated. It
Yeah,
must
there is
continue.
no defeat to it because it's all the idea of one or the other.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully that's like DriveWire. There's a third option where we can get fighting for all musicians, parties, authors, everything in the creative industry. And we're completely unbiased and suggested. We're all here for everyone.
Here's what I think about the creative industry. It's like you're really, it's like you're being your natural true self when you're able to create, right? You're creating
Yeah.
something in the universe that comes from an authentic place, comes from the
Or
soul,
you.
comes from the
Yeah.
heart, comes from something above and beyond that you've learned in school or in trade or whatever the case is. And that's when you're being your authentic self because you're making something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And you're putting it out to the world and you will find your people that can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't give up, which actually leads me to talk about what are you willing to give up to get to where you want to go. That's a serious question to
that's a
ask
big
yourself.
question.
You could have these amazing goals and ideas, but if you're not willing to actually put the work into it, like being an artist, you're going to be, the reality of not making a living for a long time, or the reality of being able to having to travel and not sleep in a comfortable bed
Yeah.
or live out of a suitcase for a long time to be able to spread your music and your art,
To
whatever
gain
the
the
case
popularity and to gain that fame.
is. Or
but I'm
find
not-
your fans, right?
Or
Knocking on
fans, yeah.
28,000 doors, I'm finding my fans. I'm finding
Yeah.
the people who align in something while I'm listening to them, and I'm also tweaking what I'm doing to become better at what it is.
Yeah,
the
more
message
relatable
is.
to these people, or like I'm trying to
Exactly.
figure out what you guys want to make
So-
myself better for you.
So same as an artist, we'll have to travel to find that thing that they're connecting with people on, right? So and so
Yeah.
what are you willing to give up to do that? And you literally when you become so entirely focused and OCD about it, you have to give up a lot to
So-
gain something new.
To gain something new.
What about the people?
And be uncomfortable doing
What
it.
about the people
Yes.
who say, well, there's no guarantee I'm going to get it, so I need to half hold on to the life that I have now and half hold on to this life and kind of tiptoe and see if it works first. What are you going to say to them?
There's no guarantee in life, the only guarantee is death.
Oh, that's so true though.
There's
You're
nothing
only
else.
born
You're
into
not
this
guaranteed
world
to be
knowing you're gonna
healthy. You're
die.
not guaranteed to be happy. You're not
Yeah.
guaranteed to be any. These are things you create.
Yeah.
The only guarantee in life is that you're going to die
You're
one
gonna die
day.
one day. Wow.
That's it, right? So, you know, having like 1 foot in, 1 foot out isn't going to allow
It's
you
not
to
gonna get that
give.
change.
Just do it. Go, just dive in deep. If you don't like it, you can come right out and do something else.
I'm gonna insert the Shia LaBeouf meme where you scream at us for about 30 seconds. Just scream at us,
No,
just
you're
do it.
not. Don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it.
But
I like
that's
Shia, but
you gotta jump off that cliff sometimes
You do.
to know there's water down there to feel the rush.
So, what kind of things did you give up to make the transition? Because it is a hard transition.
Yeah, so I've given up my personal life to a big degree because I literally wake up every morning, go to campaign, and I sleep really late.
You wake
And
up
you
every morning
campaign,
doing
yeah, like,
politics.
It's just that's all it is, right?
Yeah.
There's 120,000 constituents. There's 70,000 voters. A campaign life has a team, which I'd love to talk about.
Yeah.
And not only are you knocking on doors, you're doing interviews like today. You're going to events. You're reaching out to people. You're doing your social media. You're doing virtually like everything, and you're learning things as you go. And so there's no time to do anything else. And so you kind of, and there is no second place, right? Like.
Second place is losing.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's first place and you win, or there's second place and you don't get the party leader. Like so you're shooting to win.
You're shooting to win.
That's
So
the goal.
what do you need to do? I need my basic necessities. I need to sleep, right? And I need to just eat, and that's it. Outside of that,
Canvas.
I gotta canvas. I
Yeah,
gotta work.
eat, sleep, and canvas.
That's it, right? So I'm giving up everything else. I don't know what movies in the theater. I have no
You're
idea.
not wasting any time,
I
don't worry.
can't sometimes I don't have clean laundry. I don't know if some people can relate to that. Like there's just no time to do household chores. There's
I
and
can
my
relate to that,
business
but I'm
has
not
been hurt,
canvassing,
right?
so
So
it's
like, so there's, so my business
But
has
your
been hurt,
business, you
my
also have the
personal
other-
life,
yeah,
at the
you
same
have other
time,
things
I'm
to
not seeing my
focus.
family, like,
Yeah.
when is it, like, long weekend doesn't mean anything, just
Yes.
means more door knocking,
Or
more
just
events,
canvassing where
more.
people are gonna be home rather than maybe
Right.
not home.
No, I like
So you
that.
can't have like 1 foot in and 1 foot out and expect to get results, it's
Yeah,
just
the
not
famous-
gonna
the
happen.
famous saying,
And
no
I was
days off.
hoping you would say that. I'm on the
Yeah.
same page. I feel the same way, but I know that there are a lot of people who are saying, well, I don't want to really give up entirely on what I'm doing now.
Then you don't want it bad enough.
Exactly. So you need to.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you want
No,
something
no.
else that's bad enough and figure out what that is.
Or
Know
I-
thyself.
Or I found you can bridge it with a team. Like this
Yeah.
year, and we're going to get into this right now, but this year is a great example where we're not doing this full time, but it is so flourishing and taking off because we have so many people, like many hands make light work. We have so many people doing each our own thing that we're good at.
You've got to
And it's kind of
collaborate,
starting
yeah.
to take off. So, what are the parts of your team? Like, what have you put together? What do you do? What is your man Ronnie Coleman over there do? He's not Ronnie Coleman, but he's close, man. This guy's huge. Like, I'm being really nice with my words because I don't want him to come at me. This guy's gigantic. He's your social media, right?
Yeah, he's
like
our
running-
social media
running
guy.
the game with her?
So he's awesome, and that's another thing, right? Like, how do you get your message out? It's one thing knocking on doors. It's one thing playing at different cities or different studios, but you want to be able to reach a wider audience. And today you do that by using social media.
Yes.
And so having somebody who understands how to use it, take your content, whatever it is that you're creating. Right now we're creating something.
Now we're creating
He's
something right
taking
now.
it and he's putting it out into the world, and he's making sure people that need to see it, it gets in front of them. So I'd love to get him to be a part of the show, kind of give some ideas on how to do that.
Absolutely.
And
I think I say we take it to the next break. We come back. We get him on the fourth mic.
For sure. But before that, I really want the answer. What else is part of your team? Like how?
Sure.
Yeah. What
So
else did you build?
there's the policy person. So when we come up to things that are happening in the news, they give me the lines of what our party believes, what is our stance on things, and then of course I have to internalize it and make it my own. Because remember, I did say that I won't say anything that I don't believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
Because I run you into problems sometimes.
There's a fine line between it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
There's a
You
fine
say
line.
one day you like 2.5 Men, the next day you say you like King of Queens. They're like, which one is it? You're like, I don't know. Like,
I actually like both shows. They're
They're
all
fantastic.
good.
They're good shows.
Very
They're good
political
shows.
answer. Both are good. Both are good. Okay, so you got policy.
Policy,
Keeping
you got-
you effectively in line with like status quo. This is
Status
what's been
quo,
done.
or just understanding what's happening on the ground level and what we're going to do from the ground up. So
Okay.
feeding the party here.
Cool.
This is an issue. What is our stance on it? What are we going to do if we get elected?
And then once
how,
we're there,
how are we going to
how do we
spend
move
on this?
forward
Or,
and-
exactly.
Not even just planning to win, but also having the plan in place for once we win.
Yeah.
It's not even that we might win, it's that we're gonna win and this is the plan we're gonna move forward with it.
Exactly. And then of course there is the person who actually comes up with the lay of which doors you're gonna knock on, what was the results of that door, which doors you need to go back to, and actually the ground game, like lots of people who canvas, lots of volunteers come in every day and go out and door knock.
I was say canvassing it's not just you by yourself out knocking on 28,000 doors.
No,
it's like you and a team.
And
Yeah,
a team,
and
exactly.
a team. The TAM.
Because that's how many doors you can
the TAM, man.
That was amazing. Sorry,
EAM
Tom, I didn't mean to do that, but it got me off guard with TAM.
Get yourself a TAM.
Oh man. Okay, so we got policy. We got through one. What else you got on this sheet?
So then you need like an administrative person that's gonna keep your schedule, like
Scheduling,
so you're not missing things,
This is
so
vital.
you can miss things,
This is
right?
vital.
Absolutely, you're gonna get phone calls, you're gonna get emails, you're gonna get invites, and you can start missing things if you don't have somebody who's gonna organize you.
Or
Yeah,
keep it in place.
Right.
They could just slip by and.
Yeah, absolutely, and then of course you have your campaign manager, which would be a manager for an artist, right? Who actually sees the direction of your brand, sees the direction of where things are going, is able to direct the.
How did you pick that person for you?
That's probably the most
It's got to be
important role.
meticulous, right? Like you,
It's a very important
You have to
person.
trust that
pick.
person.
and you have to know that they believe what you believe.
Absolutely.
So how do you do-
that's
how do you do
really
that?
the only serious decision you have to make on it,
Who's gonna be
because
my
they
manager?
get to bring a lot of their own people, right?
Oh,
They get to build
okay.
the rest of the team.
Let's say so
you
they're
have
bringing
to
the
have
team
really
as well.
big faith in them and their ability to do what they do well, and of course be in line with your vision, right? And so it's normal to go through different people every now and then. Yeah, but
moving
then,
even through a couple because people's mindset and change and direction change.
yeah, or just you placing what people are really good at. You see strengths that they have in other areas,
yeah.
and it's not a good use of your talent
My
or
talent and
resource,
time,
right?
yeah,
So being
yeah.
able, you have to be agile and flexible enough to be able to make those decisions, so everybody
adjustments
can cooperate and collaborate and create what it is that vision is,
And then
right?
ultimately the team is working better to pedal the bike.
Yeah, and so you can't. So the main point here is you can't do things alone. You need other people with you.
Yeah.
As you guys are creating the show, there's 6 people in the room, and I'm the 7th person. Yeah, so you're not doing this
No,
alone.
100%.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this so many times, and it's so crucial. Like, it's really important to me for people to see, like, on a certain level, when you go to school, you get trained to do things very well by yourself, but you don't get trained. Like, as soon as I ask for help from Ramona, I'm cheating now. But in the real world, there's no teacher like marking off green check marks and red X's. It's not real, it's fake.
You're
And so
giving
I can,
approval with, like,
not
green
only
chips.
can I
No,
copy
no.
you and get the same freaking results financially, like emotionally, spiritually, I can also actually pair up with you.
Yeah.
And you can do all the math questions that you're good at, and I can write all the long form questions that I'm good at, and we can both get freaking A+ on this
Boom, right
exam.
there. You both
Why
got
would we
perfect.
not do that?
That's such a great point. I think we do need to do that because I find a lot of people, they go to the workforce not prepared.
Yeah.
About it's about collaborating, it's about being able to do teamwork, it's about being able
For
to
sure.
offset someone's weaknesses
Yeah.
with your strengths
specialize in
vice
something,
versa,
exactly.
and
Oh,
specialize.
yeah.
You're not going to be great at everything. You need to be able to know the difference and how
Yeah.
to.
See,
Partner up.
I know we want to take it a break.
And I think
Right.
it helps for marriage too, probably. Like
Oh.
getting married one day is the same concept, right?
You're gonna have to have ultimate strengths. Although marriage is a complex
I
one.
don't
It's
know.
a
I'm not
complex one
married,
there. It's
so
a
I can't.
complex
But
one.
on
there.
a real note,
I was gonna say the whole coming together as you were kind of pairing it in that sense. I like to think that in the political sense as well. Each party shares such different views, but everybody in those parties, there's no way that they're all temple to stone. This is what I think. So why is there not more effort to maybe have a collaborative party? Where sure we could have maybe some NDP views, some liberal views, and some conservative views, but all together we ultimately make a better, happier. I've never understood why that's not a party or why that's not a movement or what's preventing that.
So that's actually what happens in Parliament. So when laws get created when bills get put forward, and
Mhm.
all parties have to actually, all the representatives,
vote.
MEPs and MPs have to actually vote. So it is a collaborative effort.
Okay,
in
right
terms
on.
of making. So it does happen. happen in Parliament.
Right.
And you have to be able to do more of
Now
that.
I'm
That
just
was-
getting more and more questions.
It's just gonna go deeper. And I didn't want to do it. That's why I didn't want to ask.
I'm gonna get fired up, and we're gonna go deep on this. We're gonna come back maybe with Ronnie, maybe not with Ronnie, but we're here. You got Carter, you got Crawford, you got Ramona. You maybe have Ronnie if we can convince him. But we're going to this. We're going to the break. We got 2 songs coming up. We got Nothing Even Matter by Lauryn Hill. And we got Panic Attack by the Glory Sons here on CFRE DriveWire Radio. Check us out in like 10 minutes. What is up?
Welcome.
Carter Crawford, Ramona Singh, and Ronnie Sheeno. Ronnie, how you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you.
So right now you're taking care of you're taking care of social media for Ramona's campaign.
Yes.
Happening, by the way, October 21st. Get your ass in the polls. Go there, do there, be there, vote, do your thing. If you're in East Brampton, we all know who you should be voting for. Just saying. So talk to me about building a following. That's something that's really big here. So especially with musicians or artists or visual artists or even if you're a designer on a website, you want people to know who you are. How do you view social media? How are you attacking it, and what's your game plan?
Well, it's quite simple. You need to be able to reach out to people that influence you, people that you look up to, that motivate you. Now, with social media, there's different channels, different paths. You have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. There's way too many to list. It's utilizing them to your benefit, right? So not everybody uses Instagram, not everybody uses Facebook, but having all the platforms at your disposal and utilizing them, connecting them, linking them together, and tagging the people that you want their attention, whoever's attention you want, you tag them, you throw up a tag, you throw up a post, and you get their attention with that, because the chances of, it's really quite simple. The people that you're looking for oftentimes are looking for you, but they just don't know where to find you. It's like a massive game of manhunt.
Well, it is a big world of where's Waldo, and we're all trying to find Waldo, and I'm Waldo, you're Waldo, and we're all Waldo in this room, and who's trying to find us?
What do you mean they're looking for me?
Well, I mean, just as you want airtime and you discuss certain topics, there are people that would like to get on your show, that would like to get their voice heard. And at the end of the day, a lot of people have forgotten that their voice is worthy of something. There is value to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of merit. They are significant, and it's a lot of people have kind of looked past that, right? Whereas if you give them that stage, that opportunity to voice their opinion, their concern, that's priceless.
It
It
means
attracts
so
a large
much
crowd.
to them. Yeah,
Exactly.
having that chance to publicly voice something.
That's right. It is worth a lot, and it's forgotten over the years. Now, if they're reminded by that, the crowd comes in by the millions. Everybody feels now that value, that they're being cherished, they're being recognized, and that is what attracts the crowd.
That's what moves
so
people.
awesome.
is
And that's
that
what
they
Ramona said earlier, is making sure that they feel cherished and heard.
They're heard,
Yeah.
appreciated, and valued, and
I love that. What are some ways that I can maybe max out my social media usage? So you said something off air. I'm gonna throw it on here. I won't give everything away. But you said and I find this incredibly interesting. Different people are attracted to different social media sites, which is something that I would not even have thought about. So how do I maybe capitalize that on a little bit? What should I be thinking about, even just to get in the direction of where you're at?
Well, without going too deep into it, it is the personality type, the character type. There are professionals that would be better situated to answer, but in my personal opinion, I personally only like to use Instagram, right? Now, do I have the other social media platforms? For sure. But it's my approach. It's the ease of use. It's the pictures, videos, the entire platform and how it's structured. Whereas there's other people that would prefer Facebook. Maybe for lack of writing more comments, having paragraphs down, the way that it's shared, the messages. Whereas it's more of a desktop, platform than it is.
Definitely.
A
I
mobile.
want to look at things on Facebook on my browser rather than my phone, because
Yep.
the phone is just squared. It's just scrolling. Would you talk about maybe amount of posts as well? Because we've mentioned this in the past with Gear B, how you talk about how he posts hundreds of things a day.
Literally limitless posting, and you can't
Yeah.
you can never make the audience bored, is what he's saying.
And it's always, and I just recently started following the guy, and honestly, I've seen
We got a
different-
smile and a nod on
different
Ramona. That
millions.
means
Yeah,
Ramona's
yeah,
something.
yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. I want to say a couple of things. So based for the artist, based on the genre of their music, They may want it, so if they want a younger audience, they may be on Snapchat or Instagram. If they want like an older audience, they might be on Facebook. So there's that
Twitter,
difference
maybe.
as well. And something Ronnie said to me yesterday was, I was talking about how much content should we put up, how many posts a day. And he said, listen, we want to put up quality. We don't want to drown out, your quality stuff with just a lot of random posts. And so I'll just let you articulate that. You said it much better yesterday to me.
Well, I'll put it this way. At the end of the day, everybody has their own views. I'm not here to say who's right or wrong. Gary Vee, I remember he mentioned something about throwing content up all the time. Now, the issue I see with that is if you're overproducing, the quality goes down. You have this.
Where's the value?
That's just it, right? So, I have a picture, for example, with the police chief. Now, that picture, if I throw up 100 other pictures, that gets drowned out. Now, some people would see that would strike something with them. But if I have about 100 other pictures that don't really have any value or people can't relate to it,
how am I going to even just look at that and see?
Well, that's
so
just
much?
it. You get lost in the noise, right? The message is not.
So there is a positive and a benefit because I was questioning, the whole Gary Vee thing, because I wasn't part of this team. Gary Vee, everyone in the room is going to hate me for the beginning of all. I kept talking, I'm like, who is this guy? But then I looked up to it, and then I see what they were talking about, how that content is always coming out. But that's the other thing, is that I don't care to watch some of it sometimes because I feel like I'm getting drowned by content that necessarily doesn't relate to me at all.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a double coin, as everything is.
I like actually, not to disregard what Ronnie just said, literally was the opposite of what I'm about to say, but the one thing that I benefit is perhaps somebody would see your police chief photo, and then you have all these other photos. Maybe I'm sure you're doing a ton of other things. Maybe there's one with you at the gym or one with you at Soup Kitchen or whatever. And if you don't put up the Soup Kitchen in the gym, well, maybe there's someone who needed to get their ass in the gym and do something at their Soup Kitchen today, and they'll just resonate with different people. So that's all I'm saying. I like the idea of the quality and the quantity, but I also see, look, man, you don't want to dilute your own thing. And the more you put up, you're absolutely correct, the less likely each one individually is of being seen.
But the higher the quality.
But maybe the whole thing has a better chance of being like, I don't know, man, I'm not in there, I'm not there yet, Ronnie, I'm catching up to you, bro.
It's a fine line. You want the best of both worlds, right? So I wouldn't say leave anything out, but I would say, leave out repetitive things, right? Like I posted that one picture up. I have different pictures of it, but I only posted that one.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like 10 pictures.
10 different pictures of you and the police chief.
This is us from our good side. This is us from our bad side. This is us from behind.
This is us looking over our shoulders, giving the camera a little sass.
That's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous.
Interesting.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, you can add everything.
Yeah, I find that just from my experience on social media is that if I put too much political stuff, it doesn't get as much following. If I put some like day in the life of Ramona doing random stuff, that
people
seems
like
to get
that.
people like it.
Yeah.
So
The
people want to
engagement.
see your personal side as well as your professional side. And so it's about find that fine line between the two, because you don't want to be bombarded with one
All
thing.
politics. Whoa.
Yeah, they want to get to know who you are. Bless you.
Yeah,
And
it's beating
so
to it.
Ronnie was able to kind of do that and show different side of just like doing politics.
Of everything. It's
Yeah.
the canvassing from doors to socializing with friends to
Yeah.
just living my life.
Or having a cup of tea. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but it matters so much, right?
Exactly.
Like the vulnerability. This is the same thing that Nikki said last week. We had Nikki P. I'm not
Nikki
going to
P,
even
shout out
try
Nikki
and
P.
talk her last name. But she said, look, you have to show them the vulnerability sometime, because that's on some level what people want to see.
It's the human side of
Yes.
you, right? And that's what's more relatable and authentic.
100%, man. I love that.
I like to think that. I wonder if people connect with me that way, because I'm just so genuine and raw with everyone.
Crawford, you're ridiculously genuine.
I know, it's too much sometimes.
Okay. You said that you guys believe in smaller government. So I have a question for you that I get worried about.
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not. I think you'll be able to land this plane. If your job as a politician is essentially to make laws, right? How do we stop it? Because we have, how many people are in office making laws at any given time in Canada?
Federally 338 seats.
Okay, so we have 338
Wow.
people who are presumably working each
24/7.
day, right? So we have let's round up to a nice 400. We have 400 people writing laws every day.
That's a lot of laws.
How do we stop it from unnecessarily putting laws on things that just don't need it? Like, where do we get too much bureaucracy where we're all just like, there's this red tape and we've gone way too far and now we're stuck in this glue of laws? Like, how do we stop that from happening?
So smaller government sometimes means like not regulating things overly, like, and burdening, let's just say, the different industries or families or whatever the case is. That's why it's so important to be able to tune into an election cycle and listen to the vision of each party, the leader, what the leader has, and understand what their vision is. And you're right, you can overly regulate something.
Yeah, I feel like that would be
and
easy
then
to
you
do,
have
actually.
to say
It'd be very easy.
yes, and then the bureaucracy, the
And
build-up, and nobody.
yeah.
Then the gridlock
Pushback.
Oh
happens,
my
right?
God, and
Yeah.
reversing it would be mayhem.
Exactly.
You know?
It would be mayhem because then you have to go and undo
What
a lot
laws
of
don't we
that.
need? And now now we have 400 people writing laws of
Right.
out of laws that we are trying to repeal. It's like, man, how can we just avoid that?
That's like
Exactly.
Is there a reasonable limit of laws in a particular given area? Like, how do we do that?
So it depends. So some people will say, like, being tough on crime, we need to have stricter sentences. We need more laws that regulate, let's just say, gun-related crimes, for
Yeah.
example,
Right,
right?
just
And
an
then
example.
and then some people will say we need to have less regulations for an entrance for a business to be able to register or like to even be able to get a permit to develop something. So there's different
Yeah.
thoughts on based on the industry, based on all of that, and that's where
things that play
you'd have to
factor.
advocate, and that's where
Is there any
the
sort of
citizens will
protection?
advocate.
Is there any sort of protection from overlawing ourselves?
Elections.
Hopefully that was not.
Elections.
The
That's it,
elections,
yes.
that's
That's
the,
it.
that's the
Yeah.
And then
time.
in between elections, if there's by-elections, usually by-elections are a report card for a government and how well they're doing. If they get to lose a seat or still keep it. And then the rest of the time, I would say contact your elected official, get
So your
engaged at a
local
local
MP?
level. Yeah, and then get involved with different groups based on if you think the industry you're in, but let's say for artists, if there's over-regulation on something, get involved with the local association and then, contact your elected officials
And
and
if
get
there's a
involved.
one, create one. Like create a
And
movement.
create
if
it
there's
or
a
put
one.
it forward and,
Yeah.
and meet them and say, hey, meet the department that deals with that industry or
yeah.
whatever it is that your focus is and
Got you.
put it forward and
Is real change like that? Is it actually doable?
Yes.
It's possible.
You can mobilize
You're-
and you can even have a peaceful demonstration as well.
No, get out of here.
Yes.
A peaceful demonstration.
So
Since
you-
2019, I don't know if that's
You
possible.
can do all of
I'm
that,
kidding,
and
I'm
you
kidding.
should. I mean, that's democracy, right?
Yeah.
It's your ability
That's
to.
like one of the rights we have as Canadian citizens, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental, and not everybody has it in the world, right? So
Which is
count ourselves
absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely. We're so blessed here.
blessed. Yes.
Love it.
That's kind of crazy.
Love it. Yo, listen, we got a contest going on. We got the digital art, media, music, and media. I think I just messed that up. Digital art, meta, music, and media. It's a digital art exhibit and a live concert. We're giving out 2 tickets per person
Four
for 2
tickets.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
Total of 4 tickets. It's on August 17th. Studio 2 in Rose Theater in Brampton. Like, follow, share. We have a first video on our Insta at DriveWire Radio. Share the damn photo. It says contest right on it. You can't miss it. It's got yellow. It's got our logo. Share it. Follow us. We're going to give out 2 tickets to that on the 17th of August. I believe that's next Saturday. Right?
I think so.
Not this Saturday coming up. That's the 10th. Saturday after that. Yeah, we're out. I got this. Again, follow us at DriveWire Radio on Insta. Share the photo. It's going to be sweet. How can we use our voice? So this is for both of you. You're a politician, Ramona, which means like you've used your voice in some level to gain a certain level of popularity, however, high that it happens to be. And Ronnie, obviously you're doing the same thing. How can an artist begin to use their voice to start to build a following as they go? What would you guys say for that?
I think they just would have to put themselves out there, right? So whether it's them sharing their music, their art, their poetry, or just being able to write a blog or share content that they find inspirational or something that they're concerned about on their social media, or just and be able to be part of groups. I think since you can't do things alone, you need to go to you need to join associations or be in the university setting or whatever it is in the community center and collaborate with different people and spread that message, right? It's you have to be an advocate at the end of the day. Being an artist is not just about creating something. You have to advocate for what you're creating as
Sitting
well.
at home and having an idea in your head isn't going to do anything. You have to go out there and find a like-minded people that are also standing for the same thing and work towards that goal
Exactly.
collectively.
And whether it's you're in a band or whatever the case is, or you're putting that team together, that's what you have to
That's
do
what
and
you
be
have
an
to do.
advocate at the end of the day.
Yeah. One thing that I've found, especially with DriveWire, what we're looking to do, and it's actually really working. And I want Ronnie specifically's input for social, because that's what we're working on right
Could
now.
help us. Could help
Thank
us.
you.
Could help us. Will help us.
In order to define ourselves, like, you don't have to be the only original creator on your own timeline. And I think this is cool. Like, you can find someone if they put out something, I think I shared something in Crawford and I liked it. If something resonates with what you believe in, you can just share that.
Absolutely.
So you could follow a bunch of different things, and when people who believe your similar thing, again, the social media, when they post things that you like and are on your timeline, just hit the reblog button. Like, how simple can that be? You're not even generating it, but still you can give your idea of who you actually are out to the world that way. Do you guys kind of harness the same thing, or are you looking to do mostly original content for you guys, or?
No, it's a bit of both. If it resonates with you, share it, like it. You want to spread. You want to be an advocate for whatever it is that you stand for.
Yeah.
And that's how you find your like-minded people. And I do really believe like attracts like. The more you put yourself out there, the more you will attract the same level of energy of people that believe in the same stuff and have the same sort of goals and same sort of ideologies, or just the same passion, whatever
it's
the
all
case
about-
is.
it's all about
Like
putting yourself out
attracts
there.
like.
Yeah.
And that'll always happen when you're being your authentic self.
Oh, and that's that. I feel like people all too often try to be a fake self to get the like,
Yeah.
when in reality, like you said, just being your genuine, real self is what attracts
I
likes.
don't believe in the saying "fake it till you make it."
No,
I don't.
I think that's a really. Once you
I
make
don't
it though,
believe
if you
that.
faked it the whole time, how are you gonna maintain making it if you faked it?
Just
You faked it. You're not going to make it. You can't fake it till you make it. But how do you maintain it? You can't, because you faked it until you made it.
you mean
Have
this
you
comes
really-
with reality.
Have you really truly made it if you've been faking it the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, put reality in check sometimes, people.
Exactly.
Check.
I mean,
you know?
it's such a fine line though, because there are people like Ed Milet and Andy Frisella who are big CEOs, but they have the flashy lifestyle, but they have actually also earned it, like a legitimately earned so they're not flexing,
Well, they're
like
showing
Ronnie
what
over
they
there with
are.
his gigantic triceps, just messing with you. I like that file. But they're
I'm
not,
terrified
it's
sitting here.
just their life. Like,
Get out there.
you know what I mean? There's a difference if the cars are paid off versus if you have a $300,000 note that you're trying to take care
Yeah.
of to ride your stupid Lamborghini. Like, there's a difference there between what's happening on. So as long as it's
Very true.
authentic, I have no problem with someone throwing a cool car up, or like we have a ridiculous photo of Crawford by a McLaren that we found here on campus. But the tagline in it was "one day," so people know we're aspiring to, not trying to say, "Yo, this is our McLaren," which clearly at this point.
I wasn't talking about owning it. I was just talking about one day being able to fit in there. You know? I'm a little big. I can't fit in the McLaren right now. You know?
It's low like a bathtub, man. Once you get in, you're in, you know?
Once you're in, there's no getting out. You know, that's the way I thought. Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple more questions before the last song break. So another parallel between politicians and musicians is being in the spotlight. Okay, so there's got to be times where, like, you're on stage in front of people and you have to get across what you believe, and some smiling person on stage is walking over and handing you a microphone, and there's people and they're looking at you and they're expecting things from you. What next?
The show must go on, right? You have to. You develop a level of, like, I guess an alter ego, you could say, when right now when the mic turns on and you're on the radio and your alter ego comes on, right?
You're pointing at me like I've done something wrong. I'm sorry.
Or like when the
I'm kidding,
camera
I'm kidding.
goes live, there is
You're
a
just-
different personality that
It just
clicks
automatically switches
and
on.
it's
Yeah.
that personality where you're going to be able to relate to the people, where you're going to articulate what you want to say, whether you're even going to speak about yourself or the audience or what the causes that you're there for, whatever it
Just
is,
anything.
or something positive. It's just anything. Just you have to, in that moment, hopefully you're more prepared. You make up your mind about what it is that you're going to talk to that's going to be able to relate to the audience, because you must reach your audience, right?
You got it. Yeah.
Exactly, and
You gotta
the show must go on. I mean, before I came here, I sat here before we went on air, and I actually just chugged this whole can of Red Bull, right?
Right on.
Sometimes you
Sponsors,
have
Red
to-
Bull sponsors, let's go, let's
There you
go,
go.
come on, our
So
followership is
sometimes-
growing, call Fran.
and what I mean by that is sometimes you can be tired or run down, but when lights, camera, action, you must be on and
Put
you
on
gotta
a
do your
smile,
thing
bro.
and whatever it is, whether it's a cup of coffee or whether your alter ego kicks, you just gotta
One
do it.
Red Bull, 5 people with
Throw
good energy,
yourself
and look how
in
well
the-
the interview was done. You know what I mean? Like, it's been phenomenal.
Exactly.
I
You
like
just-
that.
That's it, you know? And it comes with practice. You're not gonna get it
True.
the first or the 10th or the 100th time.
What are
It
some
comes with
things that
practice.
you've learned on the stage as far as engaging the crowd, as far as getting people into it? Because it's always good, I know for sure as a musician, but probably also as like a visual artist or even as like a designer, like it's better when people are more excited after they've seen or experienced your art than they are before it. So probably the same as what you have to say, like this is where I see for my country, this is what I want. How are you building that? How are you building your excitement and owning the event itself?
So that's a great question. Again, knowing what your audience is, but also understanding how critical you are to an event that's happening, like whether it's in the news, how close you are to an election, how close you are. What is it that you're plugging? What is
What's
it that you're
relevant
promoting?
right
What is
now?
relevant? What's now? And what can your audience relate to? And how much speaking time do you have? Sometimes you have 30
True.
seconds, sometimes you have 2 minutes. And how do you keep people engaged? So it's about knowing the difference and just being able to deliver. Listen, I sometimes can't even watch some of my videos. Like I don't know if I'll be able to watch this afterwards. So you can be your worst
I'll
critic.
make sure to send it to you, and I'll make sure it's
Ryan
HD,
will
and
see
you
it and we'll be
know.
like, you know.
Stacey edits them, and I hear my voice in the background saying sometimes just dumb things. I'm like, oh my god.
But that's the fun of the show. That's what's so genuine about us right now. This is real. This is us.
And you just have to be able to like live and let live and learn from every experience. Because sometimes you'll kick yourself for saying something or not saying
Or
something
not
that you
saying,
should
or
have
not
said.
doing, or yeah,
and then you just
exactly.
keep that in mind and you just keep going with it, right?
I'm
And
still
that's
pissed
it.
at
You're
myself
always
for not
learning.
investing in Tesla in 2012. You know, that was 7 years
This
ago, and
guy,
I'm still pissed about it.
He's been, so I've known him since grade 1. That's the cool thing with Crawford and I. We've known each other for a long
wow.
time, and he's been telling people about Tesla since before it was cool, like way before it was actually cool, and he's not.
Before they launched their first car, I'm like, this is gonna change the future. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't spend that $32 to buy some stock in a Tesla.
Just saying, man,
I'm
just saying.
upset with
Could
myself.
have
But
done
anyway,
it. Could have done it.
coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't.
Do you want to do like a 30-second, just what you actually believe? Because I've heard a lot
Heard a
about
lot.
what you do, but I still don't know who you are.
Oh,
Well, the card is right here, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
I got the card. It's a very
The
like,
beautiful.
lovely
It's
photo.
yes, the quality
I
is
can
excellent.
407,000 by the way. Like that's a ridiculous number.
yes, I know, right? It's
Highly,
like
it's
a
very
hotline.
good. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I know, I got
personally-
lucky with that number. It's okay, who
But
am I?
yeah, like why would somebody? Again, if I'm gonna vote for you because I believe in what you believe in, like what do you believe in?
Okay, this is a very good question. I believe in our future. And that comes from being able to listen to our youth, our seniors. I'm concerned about the current state of what we're in today. I hear all too much as somebody who goes door to door and has like live market research. People are not feeling secure, not safe. They don't feel like they're doing better. Things are expensive.
Things are
They're not
getting
getting
more
ahead. Their
expensive, yeah.
salaries aren't increasing to
Yeah.
the same level of how expensive things have
Expenses,
become.
yeah.
There's a level of insecurity for their children and their ability to have the same sort of lifestyle that they did, like what our parents did, the ability to buy a home, the ability to have a career for 20, 25 years and be able to
See,
go on
these-
vacation
yeah,
and
these
have a
are all-
pension, and those things are not the same
No,
thing
they're
anymore.
not.
We're in a disruptive technology environment where industries have changed, whether, like with the inception of the iPhone and apps, right? We have like Uber that just changed the
Uber-
taxi industry.
Uber
We
Eats,
have
like food being delivered to
Right,
us. We
like
don't even have
you
to
can
leave our
order
house.
ice
Tesla
cream,
coming up,
right?
putting Uber out.
Tesla's good. Don't even.
and like things like Facebook and all these social media, they are a platform of ideas where, or Airbnb has revolutionized like
Yeah.
the hotel industry, where none of them actually own, like Uber doesn't actually own a fleet of cars.
Nope.
Facebook doesn't actually own content,
Nope.
although it's the biggest content creator.
Yep.
Airbnb doesn't actually own any real estate, even
Nope.
though, so what it is, they create a marketplace of where people want to offer a service and people want to receive a service. So things have changed. No longer are you going to go to school and then work at a bank for 20 years and be able to afford a mortgage and a down payment and 2 cars and a vacation, and it's not the same way anymore. And so sometimes when your parents give you advice about what your future should be, it's not really relevant to what you're seeing, what's happening around you. So all those things are of obviously concern, and it's about how do you, and when a good politician, somebody, or a lawmaker, right? Not a politician, a lawmaker or a public servant is somebody who can see a century ahead and see what your growing demographic is, what your young generation is, what industries are important, what natural resources does your country have, how can you be able to have a trade agreement and make sure your currency, is at an all-time high or competitive
How are we
enough,
making it worth
job
more
market,
if it's,
all those things. Because at the end of the day, everybody's concerned about what is at the bottom line for them, what can go into their pocket, how can they pay their bills. Other ideas are great, that ideologies, but at the end of the day, it's got to be practical, right? Practical solutions.
What would
Surviving.
so practical solutions? Like, I agree with all of the things that you said, basically, which is awesome, because that's very rare. And these guys know that if I don't agree with someone, I will tell them that. But I do. I like what you said.
In a very nice way, though.
So, along those lines, what could you do to write laws to, improve that situation? Because all those situations are things like, you mentioned, for one, is living in a technologically driven world. What laws can we possibly pass, aside from maybe regulations of their industry, that could stop that from taking away from other things like you mentioned Uber or Airbnb?
So how Silicon Valley started was there's a lot of investment to Stanford University and the environment that grew from public funding and to a lot of private funding, and that's where the school of thought it's a breeding ground of innovation. And we have a bit of that here in Ontario, but I think we need to be able to invest more in
their children,
the younger generation, or even the older generation, people who want to innovate. Allow them to do it, create a marketplace where people can actually do that and open up a business and hire people and put that into the marketplace and the international marketplace. So
make it easier for people to own businesses?
Make it easier for people to innovate something that solves a problem, and then and put that solution into the marketplace.
Gotcha.
And having a team, everything needs a team to be able to solve that problem. Everything is, that's what really.
I like to look at it this way, because we're at a point right now, 2020 in 6 months, where we're at a point where things have changed so dramatically in 20 years that it's going to be very hard to change things in a future sense. But I would love to be able to go to Bob or Karen's PC store instead of Best Buy, or would love to have these little independent shops where we're supporting. I'm buying my guitar from my guitar's from Carter, and I'm buying my my soundboard from Fran, and I'm buying my my management services from Dom, and I'm buying my social media services, and all etc. Except I don't want to have to go to Walmart for all of those things.
That's great, and you talk about Walmart, the big one-stop shop that taken out the mom and pop shops, but then Amazon came and is taking out Walmart.
They've taken out Walmart.
Walmart has now become a showroom for what you want to see, but then you go online, you find a better deal,
and
you order it to your house.
I hate it because
that's just the fast-paced world we live in, and that's part of innovation. But no other time than now do people have access to the whole world, to so much information. A 2-year-old is much smarter today than 10 years ago. If you've noticed,
more availability information
because the amount of information they're consuming. So this is the best time to be able to literally, and that goes with art too. I would say we need to be able to promote art and allow artists to grow, because that's another innovation. That is part of innovation.
What I also think is, it's going to sound absolutely insane, which I often usually give at least once a show. If we think of where we're moving right now, I see that it's like the entire general vibe of the entire, the industry of supply and command or whatever, the Walmart, the Staples, all those. They're moving towards we're having that less variety, where we're not being able to have all those different choices and varieties. And it leads to a future, which I've heard from online readings and things that I've dug up online, and found that in 15 years and 10 years, the world will be completely different. We're all in different colored clothes in this room. We have, green walls. So I'd shout out to the, CFRE for green walls. But it's in the future, if we continue to move away from being able to have this availability, will that eliminate the availability where we'll just kind of go to red, black, and white or whatever? Or?
So here's the amazing thing. So Amazon, the biggest, giant for shopping, went and invested in stores. It went and opened up actual physical brick and mortar
Amazon
stores.
stores? Okay, right.
Yeah, where you can buy things and you can just check out. They went and bought what's that grocery store? The high-end grocery store. No,
Oh,
what's the
Farm
Loblaws?
Boys?
Whole Foods.
I think it was
I
Whole
don't know.
Foods.
I'm
Yeah,
just throwing
they
out
went
It's
and
a-
bought-
it's a
they went
melody,
and
I'm
bought
guessing.
Whole
They
Foods.
probably
They
would have
go
been
by Whole
American.
Foods.
Whole Foods.
Yeah.
So here you have, the online shopping, the biggest shopping retailer going to brick and mortar.
And literally
today I was
buying out one
saying-
of the biggest brick and mortar yeah.
Exactly. Off air, I was saying the best way right now to do fundraising, we found statistically, is now sending people a letter in the mail, right? Because people don't get mail anymore. Everything comes through email or
I've often
online,
thought that if I ever
and
needed
they're
to
opening it up.
contact, if I ever needed to contact someone who is like super important, I think I would just handwrite a letter and
Yeah.
lick the stupid stamp and send it to
Send
them.
it.
They
I
will
really
open it
think
because they
would
don't
open
get
it.
mail,
Oh, sorry.
right? I
Shout
mean,
out
everybody
Canada
looks at their
Post. We need a little
mailbox.
more delivery service. We need more.
Yeah, I like
funding
it.
to
I
Canada
like
Post.
that. Do the
But it
things
is the
that-
mail. That gives some more personal.
So sometimes
connection.
you do go back to what works and what the basics are, and there's opportunity in that too, right?
Or what
And
about the
then-
idea of picking up a phone and leaving a voicemail message? Does that
Instead of a
does that
text
not make it
message.
more instead of a text message literally has zero profile, zero
Yeah.
meaning, zero character. Me calling you and being like, hey, it's me.
Right,
Call
or
me
just
back.
like we talked about door knocking, instead of me sending emails to everybody,
Yeah.
you're physically showing up like a door-to-door salesperson,
Straight
which
up.
was the old way of selling anything,
Yeah,
right?
Very
So,
true.
so sometimes some of that old school ways really do work,
Work.
Yeah.
and you need to be able to find the balance in that.
Well, it's like we always learned how to pedal a bike.
But-
We didn't
so-
start
but
changing
here's-
how to pedal a bike.
But I didn't fully I didn't fully address your question. So a good public servant is somebody who's going to be able to listen to everybody, because most of the population will have the solutions to the problem. So not only are they addressing the problem, they also have solutions.
They have you
They
listen
do.
to the people
You
living the
listen to them,
problems.
but they
know.
also have a vision for how to solve these things, and you have to be able to listen to them. You have to be able to listen to industry experts, and you have the average person. So you come up with practical solutions, practical laws, not just ideologies.
These are
that-
great ideas, but they're impossible to make
Or they
real.
cost
but-
a fortune and nobody can afford
Oh,
it.
we can't afford it. Yeah. Or we'll just I don't know. We can make our debt a couple $100 million more, right? That's
Or
not a big deal.
or you come up with a solution that doesn't address the real problem, and it's
problem.
just a fake band-aid. So that is really what the key position is. So I'm not here somebody who knows the answers to everything, but I'm willing to listen to people.
Yeah, you're
and
here to
find-
talk to us, like you're here to talk to the people, like you're here talking to us to get to the answers that you want to get you in
And
house
then
to help.
collaborate with your
Yes.
colleagues, collaborate with industry leaders, collaborate with the citizens,
Yeah,
right?
citizens, the
Yeah.
biggest, the people that literally are gonna put you in position.
Yeah, marketplace of ideas, that's all it is.
Marketplace of ideas, hashtag.
I'm getting the Italian finger, guys. I'm getting the
Okay.
Italian finger. He's telling me, chop, chop, let's go. Speed it up. We're moving into the finals break, and then we're going to come back with a summary. I got a lot from you here. Look, I learned a lot from Ramona and Ronnie. We're coming up. We got You're the One by Greta Van Fleet, and we got I by Kendrick Lamar.
Just the Greta.
Just the
Just the
Greta.
Greta.
Just the Greta.
We're
I'm
tight
sorry.
on
I missed
time.
Greta. We're tight on time. Catch us soon on DriveWire. CFRE. What is going on?
Quick little shout out, Elon Musk.
Crawford, what are you doing, man?
I'm starting the timer over here.
He's bringing our
He's
bringing
dead.
our
He's
off
dead
air
now.
conversation on the on air conversation, man.
Off air, on air. I'm all
talking
on
about
air.
Elon. Shout out to Elon. What's up, Elon? That's Tesla. Listen,
Wrapping it up.
This is the
DriveWire.
part of the show where I tell you and Ronnie, because you were a guest. Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
not really like a high pressure part. This is where I tell you guys what I learned from you.
I sit back.
Yeah,
he
it's
just
pretty
speaks.
cool.
He
It's
just
pretty
speaks.
cool. This is where Crawford learns things. So
I
we
did
all
see you
learn together.
taking notes, so
I took a lot.
It's his
I
big
took a
book
lot.
of world domination.
It's
Show her the
on
book,
the front.
bro.
It says my plans for world domination. So you're in it now. Like you're
Okay,
helping me.
peek
on
in the
this.
brain.
You're an accomplished.
Yeah,
It's
there
very
we
much
go.
So if you ever watch that show, the dumb one's actually the smart
The
one,
smart
and I
one,
feel
yeah.
like that about Crawford and I sometimes, where he says things, I'm like, damn man, that was way smarter than I.
Got a
ever-
bad brain damage injury, so I always make the joke that I'm like, I'm the special guy, and they're
What are
always
you gonna
like,
do tonight? Anything you do every night.
crack dinner chicken, you know, like, I don't know.
Oh man, okay, listen, the first thing he taught me right up front was that the federal conservative party and the provincial party are not the
They're not
same
the
at
same.
all. So that's first. That's very factual. Second, don't take no personally. I agree with that. I like it. Artists are the same way. Like, huge. Listen, like, if you send your CD to a freaking radio station and they don't really like it, make another CD and send it to a different one that's better. And keep doing that. Like, just make another one, man, and make it better, and eventually it'll get better and better and better. Like, okay, don't say something you don't believe. Oh my gosh, for a politician that has to be 10 out of 10 important, like, I'm just saying it, but also as on an artist side, or even like a radio show host side, for real, like, going out on a limb and saying something you don't believe is just gonna, like, be ruinous down the road, I imagine. Because someone who actually believes that is gonna prove that you don't believe it, or someone who vehemently believes the opposite, which you also believe is gonna defend their and your point against your falsehood of wanting. Do you know, like, it's just not a good, like, friends all confused.
Here's what happens when you start doing that. You'll get to a point where you won't be able to recognize yourself.
Yes. And then you don't know what you're at.
I got a
Right.
double face here. Who
Well, truly, if you don't know who you are on the inside because you're telling so many lies and so many truths at the same time, then how am I supposed to know what you actually believe and vote for you? Like, there's no integrity there, so there's just not. So I love it. What are you willing to give up to get what you want? You said that like 7 times, and I really appreciate that. We all have a mentor who says exactly that line. Like, what are you willing to give up to get what you want? Like, what are the things? What are the sacrifices? Like, are you gonna do more politics stuff than family stuff? Or are you gonna do more of this than going out and seeing Toy Story 4, which by the way was amazing? Or, you know what I mean?
Spoilers, come on, don't.
I didn't spoil it, I just said it was good.
Just in case.
Point being, what are you willing to give up? Go ahead.
And everybody talks about work-life balance, and that's awesome, and someday most people want to achieve it, but sometimes when you get a little bit of it every now and then, it's enough to go back and be obsessed with whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm on the obsession train myself. Like, get into it, love it. Like, if you could make every day so that you didn't feel like you needed a weekend at the end of the day, but you were actually, like, moving towards your financial goals and your body goals and your creative goals, like, why would you want a weekend from that? I don't get it. Anyways, moving on. Okay, don't take no personally. What are you willing to give up to get what you want? Don't take things for granted. So we talked about, oh man, guaranteed to, I'm gonna skip it because I can't read my own writing, that's brutal. Reach a wider audience from social media. So this is where Ronnie came in, where you guys were talking, like, use the social media to your benefit. Tagging those people you're looking for. Man, that's awesome. Thank you for saying that. It kind of was new to me today that the people that we're looking for might be the same people that are looking for us. Or if you're looking like, okay, maybe Drop Top Alibi is a band that we had came on and they were perhaps looking for the attention of some larger Canadian band. So maybe they reach out to, I don't know, Billy Talent, and it could be just that Billy Talent's looking for an opener or something of the sort. But they won't know who Drop Top is until Drop Top tags them, which I love. So tag other people. Okay, be vulnerable. We talked about this with Nikki, with a couple others. Like, you have to be able to be committed, go all in, and go hard. But let in, like, the human side, man. Don't try and be a robot and pretend everything's okay all the time. Like, when shit's not going good, say it's not going good and why. Like, that's relatable, man, and I like that. Collaborate, man. We've talked about creation over competition. And that, we mentioned it here. So create with someone. Don't, like, why do I have to compete with you if I can actually compete? Like, just partner with you and build something even better. You know what I mean? I like that. Share and reblog other people's stuff. We need to do that more personally, I think.
I've seen Stacey do that on our DriveWire Instagram all the time. She's always reposting. Our DriveWire Instagram is full of honestly the most,
Thanks, Crawford.
the most informative things right now. Check it out, DriveWire Radio Instagram.
Check it, man. It's good. But artists especially, like, when you want to get across what you love, you can reblog a bunch of the stuff that you love, and people will get the point pretty freaking quick. Like, I like that, man. It's so simple. Like, push the reblog button.
And they might return the favor.
Yes,
reblog us, DriveWire Radio Instagram. We'd love it.
Trust me, man. We would love it. The show must go on, man. When you get a microphone thrust in your face, know what you're gonna say for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Know why you're there. I love that you said that. Oh my goodness. If you are a musician or an artist and you're at a wedding, tell them you wish them good luck.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
I hope you guys have a crappy marriage, but here's my new single. Like, no.
Speak to the wedding. Speak to the wedding, or speak to the event, or if you're there for an activism thing, like, talk about it for like 5 seconds. Say that you're on board. Like, at least acknowledge why you're there, so that you can know the reason that the event's happening. You also mentioned doing the unexpected, whether it was mail or voicemail. Crawford brought up voicemail. Like, the things that are kind of dying out, use them, because now you're doing the one thing that no one else is doing, and you might be able to get out there. Robotush, you all good? Okay, here are the audience's solutions.
Twin Roma, send it. That's sweat out, please. Twin Roma, send out.
Oh, throw tea.
Throw
Do you have some of that
tea.
stuff?
It's in the mail.
In the mail.
It's in the
Okay,
mail.
so
Okay,
it's
thank
gonna
you,
be sick.
thank
It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. And here are the audience. So I love that you said this because I didn't actually think about this either. You said when an audience person has a problem, like listen to their solution because they're not just coming to you to bitch. They're telling you the solution that they would like to see as well. And I really think that's relative to artists. Like when you get feedback, so many artists I know, as soon as they hear this one little feedback thing, they clamp down and they don't want to hear the rest because it hurts. But if you can just listen to it, like probably they're right.
Yeah.
On a certain level, they got to be right somewhere.
There's something.
And if you can just hear that and kind of like ask them, well, what would you do instead? If they give you that answer, I love it.
I have one thing to add.
Yeah,
Always know
jump in.
your intention before you do it. So are you creating for other people or are you creating for yourself?
yourself.
Right? So that'll be the difference between listening to your audience or not. Right? So always question your intention because if you don't have the right intention going into something,
You're
then
not gonna
it's
get.
you're not gonna get the results you want, but also like attracts like. Always remember that. Everything's
Like
energy.
attracts
Yeah.
like.
So if you don't have the right intention, you're not going to attract the right things to what you're trying to do.
No,
You gotta get that
100%
as
agree.
a Instagram post picture. Like attracts like.
Like
That could
attracts
be
like.
huge.
Bam, we'll do it. We'll put it as the caption to our photo for this one.
Yeah, tag
That'll
that.
be the
We'll
way
tag-
it goes. We'll tag them, we'll tag you, we'll share all the
Ooh,
stuff, we'll get it
done
on there.
deal.
Listen, this has been DriveWire Radio, episode number something in the teens. I'm not honestly sure where we're at. We got Ramona Singh on with Carter with Crawford. We had Ronnie Sheena for a little bit. Maybe more to come, maybe not. 70 days from now, October
70 days.
21st. We expect to see you in the polls for the federal election.
I actually had a follow-up question
Hit
on that.
me.
Sure.
The 21st falls on a Jewish holiday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So what have they decided with that?
There's advanced polls, so they're
Ah,
not going to
okay.
change. So you cannot have an election past October 21st.
No, that was the
our-
issue, right? Is
yeah,
that it
it's-
fell
it's
on
like-
that last day? And
Right, it's got to be before. So they're open to either there is special ballots where you get to vote on a piece of paper
Yeah.
and go and vote, and then there's advanced polls for 7 days. Get out to vote then if you
Oh,
can't go on
okay.
election day.
So it's kind of like the election of 2014, if I'm not mistaken,
And
or
any good
15.
candidate is going to try to get all their voters and all their people out early in advance polls.
in those advanced polls,
Yes,
because
you
then it
can't
pulls in
leave
the
everything
league.
to the
And
last day. You won't be able to catch up on the gap.
true.
You can't
True.
do today what you don't have to leave for tomorrow. Right?
Whoa.
So
So get out and vote,
yeah.
essentially
get out
before
and
the 21st.
Yep.
Well, I mean, obviously within the week of the
vote.
21st.
When you're allowed.
You don't get
Not
don't vote
today,
vote
but when you're
September.
allowed.
Ramona Singh, thank you so much for
You're
joining
welcome.
us on DriveWire Radio.
Thank you for having
Ronnie,
me here.
thank you as well.
Thanks so much, Ronnie, guys. Catch us next week.
Yeah, we'll be
Next
at,
week's actually going to be at Brampton
Brampton.
Square. Yeah, at the Rose Theater in Brampton,
Hey,
downtown.
you're in
It's
my
gonna be
neck
sick.
of the woods.
And your neck in the woods. Maybe you're going to join
I
us.
will
Get you
join
on
us.
stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Week after that, we got coming up. I'm not going to tell you who it is because it's
Yeah,
a
tune in.
secret. Catch us out, DriveWire Radio, CFRE.